Well, I'm very lucky because I've got an office just over there behind us and I can look out onto this orchard and really appreciate the sort of greenery that is right here in the heart of our campus. It's open to everybody. Anybody can walk past, walk through, walk around, see the orchard that's been planted, see the animals, the biodiversity that is all around us. You just have to stop and look sometimes to see it. And it's a great privilege for all of us here, in the heart of a busy campus, to have this green space. It's something that we treat as a very precious asset here on campus. And it's up to all of us to look after it and encourage that biodiversity that will set us good for the future.
Okay, so I'm just going to attach this camera trap here to this tree. Leave that for a second. The reason is, this looks like a path that kind of goes out towards the orchard. There's also a path that goes off behind. There's one that sort of meanders around, and there's one actually that kind of looks like it's well trodden. You can almost see with the eye of faith a gap in those bushes. So hopefully this will get a lot of traffic. Now the way we're going to tie this up, this stick is here because we need it to point down on the ground. It wouldn't do that with where it's tied, so we're going to put the stick behind it to angle it downwards, and then once we're ready, whoops, hard to do with one hand, once we're ready, we'll open it up, turn it on, check the display, see if it's what we want, and then we are good to go. Okay, so we've got our second camera trap set up here. We've just zip tied it onto this little tree, and it is pointing hopefully to a combination of 3 paths. There's one that's going up that way, there's another one that goes off there, and a final one that goes that way. So hopefully this camera will get all 3 pathways, and we'll see. Okay, so this is one of the Longworth traps we prepared earlier, and we're going to put it along here because there's a corridor, what looks like a corridor at least, where the grass is trampled down over here, and then it continues over here. So what field mice and other small mammals like to do is they like to travel on the edges of all the hedgerows and stuff, so this looks like hopefully a really good location to trap some small mammals, and we'll come back and check it tomorrow. Okay, so this is our second Longworth trap, and we're going to put it just down here. This has got all of the bramble, which is really good for them. They can come in and out of it. It's got small gaps. So we're going to set this one up over here, and just so you know how we're placing them, this the box where they are, oops, sorry, the box where they are is pointing upwards, so that if there is rain, like I said, it doesn't flood in here, but it also won't collect in their box, so they'll be good for the night. Okay, so here's an example of one of the traps that we've set up. One thing we also like to do is you make sure you pack on lots of other debris. One thing is just to hide it, so you can't see, well, humans can, but little mice won't. And the other thing is it also just helps insulate the container, so they'll stay extra warm during the night. So we're back on campus the following morning collecting the traps. Fingers crossed we've got something, but this is our first one. So it feels like it's got weight in it actually, but door's open. I need to get the bag. Okay, so this is another one of the traps. We're just moving some of the stuff on top. Doesn't feel like it, and door's open. So we'll check anyways, but it doesn't feel like it, so. Nope. It is closed. The final trap, all the previous ones have had nothing in. This is the one in directly in the orchard. Yeah. Someone might just have set it off and there might not be anyone home. see anyone. Don't think so. Remember, sometimes they hide right up the back. Oh my god! Is there something? There is. There is. Oh my goodness! My god. Do we know which one this is? Because they look quite similar, don't they? The two.
I think it might just be a wood mouse. Oh my gosh! Oh my goodness! Woohoo! So there you go. This one was the one that was actually in the orchid. So looks good. Look at his little nose. Oh, so cute.
Right, should we let him go?
Yeah, I'll put him right back under.
That is quite surprising because it's not. You'd normally expect to find them
That we go,
in long
friend.
grass, but apparently this is.
Nope, that's the wrong way. Almost.
It was amazing to see how much wildlife our camera traps managed to capture in the space of just 1 week. One type of animal that made a regular appearance were muntjac deer. Here's a particularly curious individual having a good sniff at one of our cameras. These are a non-native species of deer which are about half the size of the ones you might be used to seeing here in the UK. They were brought over from Asia at the beginning of the 20th century. My favourite fact about these charismatic creatures is that although they have small horns, when fighting to defend their territory, their weapon of choice is in fact their teeth. As you can see, there's a sizable population on and around the Royal Holloway campus, and they don't seem too fussed by the presence of us students. We also spotted plenty of birds. These included a song thrush, a blackbird, a robin, and a mystery bird that we think might have been some kind of warbler. Muntjac weren't the only mammals we caught on our cameras. We also saw plenty of rats and squirrels, and even a couple of foxes that were out foraging for food under the cover of darkness.
We have such a beautiful campus with beautiful flowers. And it attracts lots of visitors like prospective students, visitors, and then the community itself. So would you kindly share us with some thoughts on the significance of having beautiful campus with lovely flowers?
Yeah. Well, of course, the green backdrop and the green canopy is lovely, and it gives a nice feel to the campus and a green feel to the campus. And of course you get very different colours of green in the canopy and in the woods. But of course flowers really highlight, they become the centrepiece of the landscape around us. So you've got this beautiful rhododendron behind us that's out now, and we're filming now in May. But you get things early in the year. I've been out here and seen camellias flower in December, and that's a lovely uplifting sort of feeling that you get when you start to see flowers, because it's a sign of growth and renewal and the environment doing well, and of course having colour around us, it lifts the spirits, it sort of refreshes you, being out mentally. It can be really good for your mental well-being, just being outdoors, being outside. There's something nice about being outside, but the colour, the stimulus of the colour, the sound of the birds, the canopy around us, it all come together. But it's the colour of the flowers that is particularly good. And of course, it's great for us, but it's even better for the wildlife and the biodiversity, and the bees and the insects, and the role that the pollen plays in supporting that wildlife infrastructure around us. So it's always a lovely thing to come out and see colour out and around the campus.
So Paul, you've been principal for over a decade. You must have seen quite a few changes in the campus grounds. What were the highlights for you?
Well, I think the area that we're in at the moment is one of my favourite. I mean, when I came, 12 years ago, this was a bit run down and the pathways weren't great, and there'd been a lot of tree falls and stuff had decayed, and it needed a bit of clearing and getting sort of light and air in and opening it all up, and that's what you and your team have done. But also the renovation of these ponds, which is really important again for biodiversity and wildlife, this has created a charming area here. This is my favourite, and being able to walk along here and indeed sit and stop and just sort of reflect on things. And this is a really nice time of year in May. Everything's coming up, and it's going a bit wild and so on. That's great. That's sort of nature doing its thing. So, but I think the importance of water in a landscape like this with the trees and the plants, and the sound of water, of course, which is really relaxing and therapeutic. It's a privilege to be here and to see this be developed in the way it has. Long may it continue.
For me, as the head of external space, it's always been a delight how much the executive has put at the forefront the experience of being on campus, and as a sort of integral as part of the student experience at Royal Holloway. So it's delightful to hear that. Is there anything you'd like to see in the future after your time here? Or any takeaway advice you'd like to give us?
Well, I'm sure you'll be glad to hear this, Jonathan, but it was very early on when I arrived. Everybody was doing their best to look after the environment here, but it never really sat with anybody. And I think your appointment was absolutely instrumental in coordinating and bringing together the wishes and the dreams of the Royal Holloway community for this space, and then sort of turning it into action. So I hope you and your successor one day will continue in post, because I think it needs somebody who takes responsibility for the oversight of the environment. So I mean that's fundamental. Of course, I hope we keep these sorts of spaces, and I think we need to recognise that the education is quite cyclical. Our students arrive in September. They're quite often gone in June. They're here in perhaps not the best of weather sometimes, and so I think really important that we can have an environment that speaks to our students the year round, so that there's some interest in the autumn. You can get things that are out in winter, and of course springtime is great, and for some lucky people they're around in the summer as well. So I think it's trying to make the most of this space all year, and I think if we can create interest and an environment that people want to come into and be part of all year, that would be a great achievement. And we're a long way down that route. So keep that good work up.
To viewers, thank you so much for watching this documentary and joining the Royal Holloway community on this journey. The impact of all of the hard work that has gone into this has already been seen. Students are wanting to get more involved with volunteering in projects such as this. The impact of this has also been seen across departments. Staff and students together are wanting to be involved and are fully inspired by the green spaces on campus. To prospective students, I hope this documentary has given you an insight into the community and campus that is so special to us here at Royal Holloway. If you'd like to learn more, look out for more projects on YouTube called Broadcasting Biodiversity.